Thank you. Appreciate you. So this morning we have some important information to share with you, and your utmost attention is needed. You're going to hear things, one thing that you're not going to be happy about, but we have no choice in it. It is what it is. And then you're going to hear from our SRO, Stamford Police Department, on some life-saving information, as well as some cash-saving information in terms of speeding tickets and parking tickets, et cetera. So all good information for you to have as seniors going out into the world, and just, for the next couple of months here on campus. You're halfway there, guys. It's really important to stick to the consistency of your attendance, getting your work done, because you can't come this far and not graduate. So we need to get real with ourselves, know what we're about, and do what we need to do to cross that stage come June. The administrative team, we believe in you. You can do it. All of you have the capacity. It's just about wanting it. So I'm wishing you all the best. Mr. Rinaldi is coming in to speak to you and share some information with you. And then we'll introduce the SROs. So bear with us until he gets in. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, your principal, Principal Rinaldi. You guys could do better than that. Principal Rinaldi.
All right, that's enough. That's enough, especially, oh my God, Miss Obis is something else. That's enough, especially because in the now 9 years that I've been principal, in the countless assemblies we've had to call for different things, I've never been I've never felt, I don't want to overstate it, but I've never felt so bad with regard to this stuff that we need to talk about today. Especially now that I've gone through the process of being a parent here. I understand I understand more from that perspective how you all feel about certain privileges that you have as upperclassmen, and just generally, more so for the junior class, and then the students to come over the next few years. Just some of the things we take for granted when we go to high school. And so the assembly technically is about the situation with student parking going forward after April 1st. How many of you drive to school? Okay. When I went to West Hill, our situation at home was such that I didn't have a car. I didn't have my own car until I graduated college, actually. Quite honestly, if the situation was better at home, my father loved me, I don't think I would have gotten a car, but that was different for us and for Nico, and this is what I was referring to. He, starting his junior year, was able to drive to school, and that feels good. Now, because of the wonderful opportunity we have going forward for a new high school, there are certain things that we have to pause. And so you probably heard, it is a fact that all student parking privileges end after April 1st. And I just feel bad about it. Look, let's be honest. If you're driving to school, that's like a privileged thing, right? Not everybody can. But I still feel bad about it. So let me talk that out a little bit. And I'm just speaking to you. I didn't prepare anything except what's been on my mind for weeks. And the fact of the matter is that there's really nothing that can be done about that. The new high school that's going to be built, beginning, well, if you want to count, I'm sure you've seen it, this Hall Road over by the Ag Building, so they've begun that. This is going to be an incredible, major undertaking. And so certain things have to happen, student parking being one. Our agri-science program, which is also very near and dear to my heart, as a student who was in the program when he went to West Hill, that's a long time ago, and Nico was in that program, they're coming out of that building. Our agri-science teachers and kids cannot be in that building until the new school is built and finished. And so now we are taking that incredible program and trying to retrofit it into 4 classrooms in this building. What does that mean? Well, guess what else that means? That means that we're going to have a number of teachers who are going to have to share classrooms. And I was a teacher. No teacher wants to have to share a classroom or get on a cart and move to open rooms to teach their classes. These are all burdens. They're burdens for something good. So let's just assume, for the sake of what I'm trying to express to you, that all the teachers who currently work and all the administrators that currently work at West Hill, let's assume they're all here after the new school is built. Well, that's a burden you're willing to bear because you get to move into a brand new school. It's like if you've ever had renovations in your home. We went through a renovation, had the bathroom redone. That's a pain in the neck for a couple of weeks until it's finished. But then you're like, oh, look at our new bathroom. So all of the teachers, for the sake of this part of the conversation, who are here now, who will be here when the new school opens up, we're going to enjoy that, right? But guess what? And this is what's been on my mind. That doesn't affect you. And it doesn't affect the kids, the incoming freshmen, because that incoming class, they're not going to be moving into the new building, maybe the class after that. So these are things that I just have on my mind for you guys. So I just wanted you to know that I feel bad about it. So as far as parking is concerned, guys, and you're going to hear from our school resource officer, and I believe another officer is here as well. Where's he go? Oh, there he is right there. Hi, how are you? About where you will be allowed to park off campus, right? It's really important that you listen carefully, because if you park illegally off campus, it's not something I can help you resolve. You may get tickets. You may have to deal with the police yourselves. So it's really, really important you pay attention to the piece coming up after me. The only other thing I would mention, and I confirmed it this morning, I talked to one of the assistant superintendents. The district has reached out to St. Leo's and St. Leo's Church over here to maybe share their lot. And I understand they're not interested, because they will also have, at times, services and maybe a funeral or things going on during the day. and they can't allow their parking lot to be used on a regular basis like that. So I will say this, I felt uncomfortable when Ms. Obis introduced me the way she did and you applauded, because I didn't, I just felt bad about some of the things I needed to tell you today, but I appreciate the way you're listening, and it feels to me like you get it. So without going on any longer, I'm going to have Ms. Obis introduce our next speaker.
So at this time, I just want to draw the attention to Officer Karen. Just say hi, SRO. She's been great. And now I'd like to turn it over to Sergeant Jeffrey Booth, who is speaking to you from the Traffic Enforcement Unit. And please give him the same attention that you've given everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Hey guys, so I am here to talk about, Officer Mahan asked me to come in and talk about some traffic enforcement stuff and license laws and other laws that she feels you guys of your age need to know about. So I know I've dealt with some of you in this room. My name might be familiar to you. All we do is pull over cars. I'm the supervisor of the Traffic Enforcement Unit and Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Squad. So my job is to go out and enforce traffic laws. I write traffic tickets, we do speed enforcement, we do red light enforcement, we do cell phone enforcement. That's my main job. My secondary job is to investigate serious injury and fatal motor vehicle collisions within the city of Stamford. So without further ado, I'll get into the presentation really quick. It's just a few slides of a bunch of some laws that you guys need to know about. Does everybody in here have a license? Yes? Okay. Well, you need a license to drive a car, right? So Connecticut general statutes say that 1436 basically says that if you want to drive a car in the state of Connecticut, you need a driver's license, okay? So that's all that law says. Any road or speed limit's been established. So where can we enforce traffic laws in Connecticut? We can enforce traffic laws on any roadway and any parking lot that has space for more than 10 cars. So your parking lot outside on West Hill, if you speed in that parking lot, you can be given a speeding ticket. If you blow a stop sign, you can be given a ticket for blowing a stop sign. Laws can be enforced in a big parking lot like that. State law says any roadway or any parking lot for more than 10 cars. Okay, so obviously you can fit more than 10 cars here, so all laws can be enforced in just in your parking lot. You don't have to be on the road. Learner's permits. Got a lot of learner's permits in the room? Some? So, learner's permits. Look this section in red. I know some of you have violated this law because I pulled over a West Hill student last week that violated this law. Okay? So, this says that if you're 16 or 17 and you have a youth learner's permit, there's two types of learner's permit. There's a youth permit and an adult permit. Youth permit is for anybody under 18. Adult permit is for 18 and over. Okay, so at 25 years old, you can get an adult learner's permit. But you must be accompanied by an instructor. So what is an instructor in the state of Connecticut? It's defined as a driving instructor from a driving school that has an actual driving or instructor license, or somebody that is over 21 years old and has had a license in Connecticut that has not been suspended in the last 4 years. That is a driving instructor. That is all you're allowed to have in the car. Okay? If you get caught and you have a learner's permit and you don't have an instructor in the car, you can be given a ticket and your car can be towed. And if you're doing anything else, you can ticket if there are other reasons for the stops, reasons to be ticketed, but you can lose your car if this happens. Secondly, if you do this more than once, you have to go to court for it. The first time's an infraction, which is just a payable fine. Second time's a misdemeanor offense, which means you have to go to court. Okay, so you can be given a court summons, or you can actually get arrested. So I don't know if a lot of you know this, motor vehicle laws in the state of Connecticut are enforced as an adult, regardless if you're over 16 and you're of driving age, and you get pulled over for a motor vehicle infraction or a motor vehicle violation, and it's a misdemeanor, you can technically be arrested for it. In adult court, not juvenile court, okay? Motor vehicle statutes in Connecticut are all processed through adult court, okay? And they carry a lot heavier fines. So that's basically it for learner's permits. So basically it has very few exceptions. You can drive an ambulance if you're a volunteer EMT, but you have to go through an EVOC program to do that. EVOC is Emergency Vehicle Operators course that you have to go through, okay? What else do we have? All licenses in Connecticut are what's called the Class D license, unless you have a commercial driver's license where you weren't eligible for until you are over 18 and take a bunch of different classes. So I have to worry about that. You can get a motorcycle license at your age. You have to have an endorsement. It has to have an M endorsement on it, which means you have to go take a test and you have to go through a skills course. DMV a couple of years ago instituted the fact that if you do not go to an outside course, for motorcycle operations, like an MSF course, which is called the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, or something else, you cannot get a motorcycle license. So you have to go to an outside course, okay? What else? 16 or 17-year-old operators. I don't know if any of you are of that age in this room, but if you are and you have a driver's license, there are several restrictions that you have to abide by, okay? And I know I've written some of these tickets as well. Probably, I don't know if anybody in this room, but definitely the people at this school. So, if you get a driver's license and you're 16 or 17, for the first 6 months after you get that driver's license, you can be in the car by yourself with a parent or guardian or a driving instructor, okay? So you cannot drive with your friends, you can't drive with your brother or sister, anything like that, okay? You can drive by yourself or with a parent or guardian. 6 months to 1 year, you can have one additional immediate family member. That means your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, something like that. No friends in the car at all that are not related to you, okay? And then after a year, after getting your license, you can have anybody you want in the car as long as there's enough seatbelts in the car for all those people, okay? This and speeding are the two main reasons why we can seize your. I'm going to get into seizure of your licenses for under 18 in a minute. But we can seize a license if you're under 18 for certain violations, okay? I'll get into those in a minute. Other restrictions, you can't transport a passenger on a motorcycle if you have a motorcycle endorsement. Can operate a vehicle between hours 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. unless it's for work, school, or religious activities or medical emergency, okay? So that's if you're out after 11 o'clock, and you get caught driving, doing something, and you're in violation of your license can be seized, okay? It makes an exception for volunteer firemen or ambulance personnel that are responding or returning to a call, but that's the only exception that it really makes. But this law allows us, police officers, to seize your license for 16 or 17. Some of you may be asking why this was put into effect. This law was put into effect probably 8 or 9 years ago after a series of young teenage people were killed in car crashes throughout the state of Connecticut. This is not a Stamford thing. The one that sent this over the edge for the new law was a crash out east in New London. 4 teenagers were killed in a car crash, and that was the impetus behind this particular law to restrict 16 and 17-year-old operators, okay? So what happens if you commit those certain violations, and I'll get to it in a second. So here's some of them. Your license restrictions. You have illegal passengers, operating after curfew. If you're driving a car out of class, so if you're driving a commercial motor vehicle, or if you're driving a motorcycle, out of a motorcycle license, or a motorcycle passenger violation, if you have that endorsement. Operating under the influence, operating under the BAC, 0.02% or higher is the same thing because anybody under 21, the legal limit for them for the BAC is 0.02%. Otherwise, it's 0.08 if you're over 21. If you get caught speeding more than 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, that is any speed limit. That's not just High Ridge, Long Ridge Road where people do 60 miles an hour all day long. This is 45 and a 25, 50 and a 30, anything like that. Your license can be seized for that, or racing on a public highway, okay? So what do? We fill out this form, kind of blurry, but all the reasons we can seize it are there, okay? And if we do seize your license, you have to come to the police department to get it back. Your license is taken for 48 hours, and it's technically suspended. So you can't drive within those 48 hours that the police department has your actual license. And then you have to come back after 48 hours with your parent, and they can sign for your license, and they can then you get your license back. If you do not go back to the police department within 10 days of that, your license gets destroyed. They literally run it through a shredder after 10 days. So, and when you get this, DMV gets a copy of this form. Sometimes they give you a freebie. Maybe you get a freebie on this. If the violation's bad enough, they won't give you a free one. They'll suspend your license till you turn 18 at a minimum. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, I ran into something I've never seen before in my entire life. I've been a cop for almost 30 years. I've been doing traffic enforcement my entire career. A 17-year-old driver was such a bad driver. He'd been so many tickets under his learner's permit that they suspended his learner's permit. I've never seen that ever, 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 ever. That is a very serious violation. It means you're a very bad driver. So don't do that. Those are the people that crash cars and hurt people. We don't want to do that, right? And I got him for doing 30 miles an hour over the speed limit. Okay. So before I go on, I don't want to go crazy with questions, but does anybody have questions about licenses? Okay? All right, pretty straightforward, but it's very serious and it's very important that you guys abide by these rules. They are there for your safety. We don't want to see anybody get hurt, getting killed. I don't want to be knocking on people's doors for stuff like that, okay? So please abide by the license restrictions. Stay under the speed, around the speed limit. Don't blast around town. Stay off your phones, all that sort of stuff. Because you're also not allowed, I don't know if you guys knew this at all, if you're under 18, you can't be on a phone at all. Whether it's Bluetooth, anything like that, you cannot use your phone in a car, okay? So if you have Bluetooth in the car, you can't use your phone. Okay.
Y'all gonna listen quietly, right? Huh? You gonna listen quietly, please? Thank you.
I want to get into some new stuff that affects people your age as well. There are new laws that went into effect October 2025 regarding electric bicycles and scooters and things of that nature, okay? 3 kinds of electric bicycles. I'm not going to get too crazy into it, but class 1, class 2, class 3, pretty much depends on the speed of the bicycle and the braking systems and things like that, okay? So just quick examples of electric bikes. Class 1 only goes 15 miles an hour, class 2, 20 miles an hour, or class 3, 28 miles an hour. 28 miles an hour on a bicycle is really fast for those of you who have never done it, okay? It's extremely fast on a bicycle, but these are capable of doing it. But the one thing that they did change, and a lot of you, I've seen people your age have a lot of this stuff, is the scooters, all right? So a scooter in Connecticut, it's called a motor-driven cycle by definition. So what is a motor-driven cycle? Basically, they put the one-wheeled ones on there this year as of October, but it's a scooter. It's got an engine displacement of less than 49 cc's or lower, and it has a seat height of 26 inches or less. They've added to this definition the electric ones now. Electric cycles are part of this definition. So what does that mean for you? So electric scooters basically saying 3,700 watts or higher, which is they're out there. But that means you need a license to drive one of these. Under Connecticut General Statute 14286, it tells you you need a license to drive a motor-driven cycle. So if you have a scooter and you don't have a license, you're in violation of the law. You don't have to have a motorcycle license, but you have to have a driver's license. If you're driving something that is 50 cc's or higher with an engine displacement, that is a motorcycle. You now need a motorcycle license, a valid registration, and valid insurance, okay? So trying to differentiate that between you guys, because there seems to be a lot of confusion in your age group of what is what, okay? So a motor-driven cycle is a scooter, but you need a license for it. A motorcycle is anything over 50 cc's. Once it's at that point, you need a motorcycle license, registration, and insurance, okay? Clear on that? It's pretty simple, but something like this is a motor-driven cycle. It looks like an electric bicycle, right? But it generates 3,000 watts of power in the battery and can go up to 42 miles an hour. If you're going 42 miles an hour, you move from an electric bicycle to a motor-driven cycle, and now you need a driver's license to drive it. Whether it's got pedals or not, that's got pedals on it. Looks like a bicycle. That is not a bicycle. It's too powerful to be a bicycle. You need a driver's license for that. Same thing with this. This is now a motor-driven cycle as well. It will require you to have a driver's license. When you get to the bigger ones, that's a motorcycle. We've seen a lot of these on the road. We've towed a lot of these off the road. For those of you also that don't know, the city of Stamford last year passed an ordinance where if you're riding a dirt bike or an ATV in the city and we seize it, you don't get it back. It gets crushed. So if you're driving an off-road vehicle like a dirt bike or like an ATV, that illegal dirt bike or ATV gets seized by the police department, get a letter in the mail saying maybe you can appeal it. 45 days later, if your appeal is not granted, it goes to Rubino's and gets crushed. Okay, so don't drive dirt bikes or ATVs around the streets. They're not made for the roads anyway. They're not safe, but you can lose it and it can get destroyed. They want me to talk about the parking situation really fast. When you guys are out parking your cars, right, if you find a place to park, watch the signs for where you're parking your car, because if you park in a residential only area that is made for, if you have to have a permit for that, your car will get towed, okay? If you park in front of somebody's driveway and don't let them out, your car will get towed. You'll also get tickets for that, but they have to ticket it prior to towing it. But if you're in a situation where you're blocking something and people can't get out, or you're too close to a fire hydrant, things like that, your car can get towed out of there. Okay, because if you're blocking a fire hydrant, the fire department's going to come out. They're going to say it's blocking the hydrant. Parking's going to come out. They're going to ticket it, and then they're going to tow it. Okay, so please, I don't know what streets you guys, you know what streets you can buy the park on? Yeah. Roxbury Road is limited parking as it is, right? There's signs all over Roxbury for parking. So park where you can, but don't park illegally, because if you park farther north on Roxbury, I know it's posted no parking. And then if you're coming around one of those corners up there and it's dangerous, people have to go on the other side of the road, your car can cause a car crash just because it's parked there. It can be towed for causing a hazard, okay? So don't park. You really have to watch the signs, because there's also signs out there with times on them that are very confusing. You might be able to park between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., but from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. it's illegal. I have those signs. I live near a high school. I don't live in Stamford, but I live near a high school in my town, and the signs around the roads in the high school do not allow parking during the day on the roadways. So you might see those signs on these little side streets over here off of Roxbury or off of West Hill Road that are going to tell you can't park there during the day. And if you do park there during the day, you're gonna start getting parking tickets. And if you get enough parking tickets, do you know what happens to your car? They put a big old boot on the front tire, and you can't get it off or some of them are now slapping big giant suction cups on the windshield that you can't get off till you pay for it. And those fines get crazy because you get late fees. So if you get you give enough parking tickets, the city can come around, the parking authority we don't do it as the police department, but the parking authority, we have a parking authority in Stamford, they do it. They have plate readers on their cars that catch all the cars that don't pay their tickets or have 100 different tickets, and they will slap a boot on it as soon as they can. So beware of that. If you're parking in different spots and you get a bunch of tickets, there is a good possibility that the city's going to come around and slap that boot on your car, and you're going to have to pay like $300 to get it off. It's not because they're not cheap to come off. Some mechanical equipment stuff. Loud exhausts are completely illegal. Just so you know, this law tells you that you can't have an exhaust that creates loud or excessive or unusual noise. Okay, so all those gunshot, when you stop the car, gunshot stuff coming out of the exhaust, illegal. Attachments to the back of the tailpipes, illegal. Okay? What else? Those of you, this is a new trend. I've seen this a ton lately over the past 6 or 8 months. Colored lights on the front of your vehicle. There's a lot of cars out there that have LED lights on them that you can actually change the colors on. They go around the rim of the headlights. A lot of Jeeps have them. I've seen a ton of cars with them. You cannot have them on your car. There's 2 colors that can go from the front of your car, white or amber. That is it. If it's not a white light, not an amber light, it cannot be on the front of your car. I pulled this car over last year. Those are illegal. Those are red headlights. You think this guy can actually see with those anyway? Right? Any other color besides white or amber on your car, and again, this is a big trend that's been happening in the past couple of years. It's very popular. You can't have them, okay? What else? Tinted windows. Those of you that have tinted windows on your car, anybody know how the legal tint percentage in Connecticut? Nobody does because nobody reads the statute. It's 32%. So when we slap a meter on your car, the number has to be 32 or higher to not get a ticket. This is an example of an illegal window. That says, if you can't read it, it says 10 on the meter. Okay? That is very illegal. That's 22% lower than it should be. Okay? Legal tint limit is 32%. All right? It's 35 plus or minus 3 in the statute. So we say 32 or lower on the tint meter, get a ticket. Your car can also be subject to inspection by DMV, by the way. Okay? We can send you up to DMV for inspection, and if you don't do the inspection, they can suspend your registration. But the tickets for this is like $140. Okay? What else? Oh, also, I don't know, I mean, you're all young enough to have TikTok. I don't even know what TikTok is, so, but there's a lot of people on TikTok, you'll see it, that are refusing to give their licenses and registrations to the police department. You cannot do that. This law says you must provide your license and registration when asked by a police officer. Okay? If you do not, you will get arrested. So keep that in mind. No tint at all on a windshield. 0. None whatsoever. And we do have tint meters that are capable of measuring a windshield, but the windshield statute says you can't have 0 covering on your windshield. I've been doing traffic enforcement I've been here for almost 30 years. I've been doing traffic enforcement for the majority of my career. I've seen one person produce a doctor's note on a tinted window. I didn't even stop him for tinted windows. I stopped him because he was speeding on Strawberry Hill Avenue. And he thought I was stopping him for his tints. He goes, I have a doctor's note for my tints. I was like, no, you don't. Nobody has a doctor's note for their tints. He provided one. So you can get a medical exemption for that kind of stuff, but you have to carry with you at all times. Same as a seatbelt. You can get a seatbelt medical exemption too. Speeding. I'm going to cover speeding really quick. Just by really quick. I got a few more minutes. So speeding the law says any speed over the posted speed limit is by definition unreasonable. You cannot speed. There are fines for going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. Okay? Would anybody write that ticket? More than likely not, but you can be written a ticket for 1 mile an hour over the limit. So any speed over a post limit is unreasonable. Okay? There are 2 types of speeding in Connecticut. There's infractions, and then there's misdemeanors. So an infraction is they're all based on speed. So I'll go through this really quick. Any speed limit up to 55 miles an hour. You violate any speed limit, you're going somewhere between 30 and 55. Up to 55 miles an hour, you're written under one statute. The fines increase between 56 and 60. That's a different statute. And over 60 miles an hour is a mandatory court appearance. That's a misdemeanor offense in Connecticut to drive over 60 miles an hour. So any roadway, doesn't matter the speed, upper high ridge, upper long ridge, where it's 45 miles an hour. If you're doing 61 miles an hour, you can be sent to court for that. Regardless of the speed limit, it's just over 60. It has nothing to do with the limit. Front plates in Connecticut are mandatory. You're issued 2 plates by the Department of Motor Vehicle when you register a car. It's a legit question because a lot of people think that they're not. It's a legit question, 100%. You are required to have 2 plates on your vehicle in Connecticut. It's a 2-plate state. So they give you 2, you're supposed to keep 2. What else? These are just the fines for speeding. This is how we look them up. It's based on how fast you're traveling over the limit. Under 14218A, the highest fine is $206. Under 219, it's $226. Okay, so the speeding fines add up really fast. Reckless driving can be a different, all you have to do is be reckless in your operation. There's a definition for reckless, or anything over 85 miles an hour on any roadway in Connecticut is considered reckless. They have upped the penalties, just so you guys are aware. For higher speeds in Connecticut, the penalties have been increased severely. Need more? Or?
Thank you, Sergeant Booth. Thank you very much. And you'll be happy to know that not one person in here has ever violated any of these rules. None. Seniors, thank you for your attention. You are going back to second period. Be quiet in the hallway. Walk back quietly back to second period, please. No loitering in the hallway.